Hi, it's me, Liberty. I wanted to talk today about my 5 tips for breaking the trauma bond. Basically, a trauma bond is a neurochemical addiction to intermittent reinforcement, and we find ourselves doing some repetition compulsion. Sometimes maybe our parents did the same intermittent reinforcement when we were growing up, maybe sometimes validating us, sometimes ignoring us, and we got addicted to the dopamine kick when they actually did pay attention to us, and then we crash when they don't follow through with a consistent reinforcement schedule. And it feels so normal for those of us that have early childhood attachment injuries and early childhood trauma. And so we attach to people that are similar to our parents, and we don't recognize the signs early on because it feels so normal, and it gets us stuck in these patterns, and it becomes an addiction, and we find we can't get out of it because the pain, the fear of the pain is greater than the actual pain that we will go through. And the pain we go through is enormous when we break these. And emotional dysregulation makes it a lot easier for us to get into them. We might not notice that our emotions are dysregulated and kind of all over the place, and it's easier for us to get hooked into the neurochemical cycle of the rise and the fall. And I know sometimes it is people's intention to get us wrapped into these trauma bonds, but other times the other people don't have the intention to set us in this trauma bond. I know the last time I was triggered, I ended up babyducking someone. I imprinted on someone, and I trauma bonded myself because I was in a dysregulated, triggered state, and I talked to this person instead of realizing I'm triggered, I'm dysregulated, I don't need to talk to people right now. And it's really easy for us to do that, so we have to be very careful. And we don't want to baby duck the wrong person. We cannot imprint and attach to the wrong people, because we will continue to dysregulate ourselves and continue seeking this reinforcement on a consistent schedule, and it's not going to come on a consistent schedule. So how do we get out? For me, there's no other drug on earth like my drug of choice, and that's attention from unavailable people. The high feels phenomenal. And that low, that high you feel the low in equal proportion. So beware. And my disorganized attachment style really did help me the last time I got into a trauma bond situation, because I was able to maintain some semblance of remembering the negatives. I know with some people with anxious attachment, it's hard for them to recall the bad. It's like we have amnesia sometimes for the bad that people do to us, and we only want to remember the good when we need our fix. Like when we're in this low and we're withdrawing, we need that fix. So we will remember the good, and we will hope to reattach and get that fix. That's why for me the relationship inventory is a good idea, because I can keep a list of these are the good qualities and these are the bad qualities, or these are the good events that have taken place and these are the bad events that have taken place, and there's like balance there. But when you're in a trauma bond and you're trying to break it, you need to pay attention to the bad. You need to stay focused on the bad so that you can have that inner justification of, this is bad for me. I'm going through this pain because this is bad for me, and I'm going to do what is best for me. So my 5 tips are, number 1, awareness. Awareness is the key for getting free. You got to know what you're dealing with. That's half the battle. And you also have to know what's going to happen. It's going to be a withdrawal situation. You are breaking an addictive cycle, and the withdrawal is intense, and like utter hell some days, some hours. but know, like, this is what the reality of the situation is, and this is what I'm going to be going through, and knowing why you're going through it. So having that awareness is so important, and to know that you will survive, you will get through it, and the only way out is through. You have to be less afraid of the suffering and endure the suffering, because with the suffering comes the learning. And number 2 is to reality check yourself as much as possible, using the avoidance deactivating strategies from the Attached book. You focus on their negative qualities, not the positive ones. And you do that until you reach a place where you are detached emotionally and in a healthy place. And then you can assess your part in things and see, do you need to make amends? Do you need to... Probably not. If it's a trauma bond, you probably don't need to make amends. Just live and learn. But you need to get all that negativity focused until you get to that detached, healthy place, and then you can see in a more balanced way. The 3rd tip I have is to seek support. Therapy, a support group. The 12-step groups for codependency is great. 12 steps for sex and love addicts, even adult child survivors of childhood abuse. There are so many 12-step groups out there. There's so many support groups you could find. You could find boundaries groups, or whatever technique you want to work through, you can find a support group for that. Some are free, some are paid, or therapy. Or if you have very supportive friends that can validate you emotionally, because the hardest part is you need support. You need that validation of your experience, of your emotions, to help you get through that. So these people hopefully will realize you're breaking an addiction, that you are going to be going through severe withdrawals, and so they can help support you through that. The 4th thing is acknowledging your emotions. Every last ugly tear, and be compassionate about the feelings. This is hard. It's an addiction. It's hard. It's devastating sometimes. It reminds us so much of the grief that we went through in childhood, because a lot of us that end up in these cycles did not have a good childhood experience. We did not have healthy parents. We did not have healthy attachments. And so acknowledging all of that pain, all of that grief, and realizing that the feelings that we feel may feel like they're worse than the situation at hand, but that is because we have this underlying swamp of emotions that we never drained. And so each time we cry, we're draining the swamp a little bit, draining the swamp. And each time you have to drain more of that swamp, and it's going to be hard. So acknowledge every emotion you feel. Write it out in your notebook if you need to. Talk to that part that's activated. What are you feeling? What's going on? Tell me, what's going on? What are you feeling? What do you need? And really acknowledging and validating. Validate those emotions. Tell that part, I know it's really hard for you right now. I know you're really sad. I know you're really angry. I know you're really hurt. I know you feel however it is that you're feeling. Just validate that for yourself. And the 5th is to heal the wounds. We're going to keep attracting the same pain in order to heal the underlying pain. And it sucks so bad. And every time I'm like, really, this again? Am I really doing this again? Like, really? But it's because I haven't fully healed those parts, and I haven't fully healed those wounds. And that's why I keep attracting the same type of pain, because the universe is saying, hey, you want to drain your swamp, right? You want to find healthy relationships. This is how you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to feel all the pain. You're going to have to cry it all out. You're going to have to get to a place where you can securely attach to other people, and then you'll be there. But you got to feel all this stuff and heal all this stuff first. And we have the current wound on top of all the underlying wounds, and it can feel overwhelming, because you're like, wow, I'm dealing with this current heartbreak, and I've got all this heartbreak from my past trauma, and it sucks. And it may take a lot of time, and it's been years for me. And I think I finally sewed up my last suture this last time. I did a visualization when I was trying to work with this wound again, and I did a visualization where I literally like envisioned myself like stabbing and like pulling thread and like suturing my heart. And so I did this visualization to help me fully heal that wound. And like now I'm like, okay, I have scar tissue there. I have a wound that is partially healed now, and it may have been just a visualization for now. And later I plan to do some play piercing, if I find the right sub to play with, to do some more suturing of that wound. And I did some more work with my kicked puppy. And on Mother's Day, it was so funny. My kicked puppy part, she turned into a tree and told me Happy Mother's Day. And after that, I haven't felt her desperation. I still can converse with this tree and her feelings and her desires for me and her wants, but she doesn't have that desperation anymore. And getting to that point where I think I have healed her, I don't think we ever get to a point where we're fully healed, but if we can get to a point where the parts of us that are the most destructive can find a healthy way to express their desires and their wants, that's healed for me, in my eyes. In my humble opinion, that's healed for me. And I know that it's tough to break trauma bonds. It's so hard because this is not, when you break these, it's not a normal breakup, because it drudges up all the unhealed stuff from childhood and all that unhealed attachment injury, and it brings to light all of the unvalidated feelings and all of the missed opportunities to connect with people and all of the missed intimacy and the ways that we shun people that actually could provide a decent amount of intimacy for us. It's hard to face that, but breaking these trauma bonds it's hard. It's so hard, and I've been there. I don't know how much I'm going to go through this. Honestly, I think the universe is conking me over the head to get me to really realize how to do this on my own, how to be so strong so that I can teach other people. And like, I don't wish this path on anyone, because it's not an easy path, but I'm stronger than I think. I really am, and I'm committed to doing the work and to get me to there, so that I can share with other people that are struggling, and hopefully provide experience, strength, and hope, so that you don't have to go through such a hard cycle the next time. And I needed to share. I know I'm not the only one that's going through this. I've talked to at least 3 other people in the past week that are dealing with this, so I felt like called to make this video. So I will share more later, I'm sure, at some point, but I wish you well in your healing journey, and I wish you peace, and I will talk to you soon. Love ya. Bye.